My name is Kirsten.
And I'm Cheryl.
Welcome to KC Cafe Podcast.
After supporting more than 900 families and counting, we realized we spent years doing the work, but not enough time sharing what we've learned. This podcast is our commitment to change that. We're chatting about education, politics, dyslexia, legislation, Jordan's Principle, schools, families, and First Nations communities. We're not experts, just deeply connected and ready to share what works, what doesn't, and what needs to change. Episode of Breaking Barriers is going to be about why we make things. I think that Kirsten, the decision to do this episode was because we wanted to be a bit more casual, and our life is about many things, as you guys can probably already tell. So I think one of the things we also want to share is what we do. I think we have a problem. We've said this. We have a problem of just sitting and doing nothing.
It's very difficult for us.
It is very difficult. And I think that that's why, like for this episode, you can see our display of stuff. We want to talk about how this come about, why we said do this. And again, we have a problem with staying and doing nothing and just being blah. So this is kind of, Kirsten has a lineup here about questions. I think today's just going to be talking back and forth about why we do what we do with regard to why we make things.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, so go for it.
We had our first question. What was the first thing that you ever made?
You started this whole thing.
I'll go first.
Yeah, you started this. Yeah.
So moccasins is, I think, when I remember when I was younger, I went to a conference with Kukum, and one of her friends made moccasins, and I was like, oh my god, those are so beautiful. And so as a kid, I was like, I want to make those. And I think it was really hard for me to find someone to teach me. I think that was where I was like, how do I find someone to teach me this? Because I think there's different types of moccasins. Like there's, traditional moccasins that you can wear for ceremony, powwow, and then there's different types. Like these ones that I learned.
You found her online?
Yeah, I found her online. Actually, I was part of Powwow Pitch. I was starting my business. My business is called Traditional Treasures, and I just felt like there was a lot of artists across Manitoba that make stuff but had a really hard time selling items. So I was already kind of selling my moccasins on the side, so I was helping people sell their items. So that kind of made me think like, okay, Powwow Pitch is something where I want to share my story, and they really help you try to get out there and public speaking. So that was kind of why I originally wanted to do Powwow Pitch, and then that was where I met Samantha, shout out, and I did the moccasin. She taught me how to do. She did like a 2-week workshop.
Like, didn't she send you all the supplies?
Yeah, she sent me like a kit, and then that was where we did the workshop together. And I kind of already at that point, I knew how to bead already. Like I was kind of learning how to make beaded items, but I didn't know how to do the working with 2 needles and beading stuff that makes like medallions and brooches. And so I didn't know how to make that type of beadwork. And so she taught me how to do that.
So not only did she teach you how to make the moccasins, she also taught you beading.
That's right.
Oh, I didn't know. I thought it was just the making the moccasins part.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I did make my first pair of moccasins. It was, I think, 2020.
Oh, it's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while. And I think I was always passionate about, I'm going to learn how to do this. So I think when I took the workshop, I was like, I'm totally committed to this. And that was kind of after, while I was doing this, I was in college. And I wrote about, one of my assignments was kind of starting your own business and what that model looks like. So that was kind of, I used that Traditional Treasures is when that kind of template came out, and I was like, I gotta save that name because it came to me in a dream. Yeah. And I was like, I wish that I want to call it Traditional Treasures. And then I ended up registering for my business, and I got the name, and I was like, yeah. And I tried for a couple names, but I was so happy I got that. So kind of, a double duo story there, but I think it was in the same mindset where I was creating, and I didn't even know at the time, like, having moccasins being like fully something that I sell. Yeah. I kind of thought that I was like, oh, I want to make products, and I was kind of all over the place with all these ideas. But
moccasins is what stuck though.
Yeah.
And I think for me, when I was trying to, so what I started with is a blanket, and it's funny I don't even have one because I've made like 3 or 4 right now.
They're all gifts to people.
That's what I think for me, like when I saw a star blanket and I saw some of them were so elaborate and some of them were plain and some of them were colorful and some of them were more traditional. And I thought it was really interesting, just all of the work.
Yeah.
And when I looked for a class, because you'd taken the class for moccasins, and I looked for a class for star blankets, I found one for a ribbon skirt. And I took a class here in the school division or area, but I couldn't find one for star blanket.
That was at Deontay's school, right? Like he had a class,
And we ended up going in the evening, and they turned ribbon skirts. And then, but what I really wanted to make was a star blanket, and I looked for classes, and there was like nothing. Now I know why, because it takes so much time. So I ended up going to Thompson. I had a meeting in Thompson, and they have a fabric store there. I can't remember the name of it. I wish I remembered. I was just there when I went last time. And I had asked her, she had a star blanket up on the wall, and I said, did you make that? And she said, yes. And I'm like, how did you learn to do that? And she said, actually, this book. So she showed me the book, and then I went through the book. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But I made the first one for myself. Like, in case it went horribly wrong, I wasn't going to give it to anyone. But I think the next one, right, who inspired you? Like when you're talking about making stuff, why we make things, who inspired you in the first place?
I think, like I was saying, I think it was being up north, being around kukums that made them, and being just in awe of their designs. My kukum and Papa lived in Nelson House, and there were just so many people that just had such beautiful like paintings and just sculptures and stuff. There's so many inspiring people and creative people that they knew, right? That I would just come across, and I think that was where being in the wilderness and them hunting and telling me stories of moose. I think that was kind of where I was like, I want to work with moose hide, because I had a choice. Like I could use different leathers, but I think moose hide was something where I like the texture of it when I make it, but I feel like it's durable, it's strong. Mooses are strong. Like I think that just resonated with me, and so even just the type of resourcing these furs, leathers, you're taking it back to like culture.
Yeah.
Right?
And interesting that you say that, because right, what inspired you is right, being in nature and culture. But Oma, my German, right? I have a German side and I have a indigenous side. And Oma, my German side, she's the one who taught me how to sew with a sewing machine when I was young, because we were very poor when we were young. And Oma and Opa worked very hard. Like they worked a lot. And one thing for me growing up is they always showed up on Sundays. So Sundays, I always went to Oma and Opa's, and we went for the day. They'd pick us up in the morning, and they'd bring us back in the evening. Yeah. And Oma always made us clothes. Like I said, we didn't have a lot of money growing up. My mom was in school. We had another the podcast with Kukum, my mom. She went to school when we were really young. Oma and Opa, their contribution. Oma was making us dresses and clothes. Opa was always picking us up because he was the only one that could drive, and just being patient. Like Oma taught me sewing, crochet, needlepoint, and so did my stepmom Leanne. Like when my stepmom Leanne came in, she was also very creative. So it's interesting, right, that we have creativeness from both sides of our family, whether it's indigenous side, German side. Those all kind of inspired us to do things with our hands. Yeah,
I saw a picture. I remember seeing like pictures at Oma's with you and Sharon sitting beside each other in the handmade
dress.
Yeah, the handmade like the dresses, right? With like the what do we call that? Lace, right? With the it's so cute, right? Like that was so awesome. I love that you had matching outfits.
I remember my stepmom when I made my first star blanket. Like I said, I made a star blanket, and she's like. She didn't tell me this at the moment. I'm like, do you want to see it? And she's like, I was a little bit nervous about what it was going to be. She's because sometimes like things aren't necessarily beautiful. Like they can be plain. They can be whatever an artist decides to be. Yeah. And when I showed her my first blanket, she's like, oh my gosh, that's actually nice. I was like, oh, okay. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. But I think it's interesting that everyone's perception of something, right, like a star blanket or a moccasin, right, can be as fancy or as plain as that person decides it to be. Yeah. And I think one of the things you and I do, I don't want to say have issues with, but emotionally, right? We have a lot of responsibilities in our lives and a lot of things that get us those highs and lows emotion. I mean, we had that this morning. I think we have the build up to the podcast, and real life is that things get heated, things get slumpy, things get tired. I just don't feel like I need to turn off my brain for a few moments. But that emotion plays a really big part, I think, in our lives. And I think, for me anyways, doing this changes that. Like, what about for you?
For sure. I would say, like, if I've had a busy day, yes, I'm like, I use beading and I use making moccasins to kind of wind down. I find sometimes, like, I have my little area in my kitchen where it's like I have my table and I have all the things that I'm doing, and then I'm like, okay, I'll worry about this mess after. I just need to kind of get in this mindset of beading, and then everything else will kind of figure itself out after, right? So last night, even though we had such a long day, I was like, you know what? I just really want to finish these moccasins. I'm in a really good mood right now. I feel accomplished today, right? So I kind of decide when to bead and when to do stuff on my mood. Because I don't want to be angry and frustrated when I'm making something, because then it's just not going to go well. I'm going to stab myself with a needle, and I have to be careful of that.
And to be like, the last night, so we'll kind of talk a little bit more. I have ADHD, I swear, and I talk about things randomly, but I was getting frustrated one evening, and when I was doing the little pouch bag, I don't have any today, but I forgot to pull the zipper in when I sewed the edges, and I went super fast over it, and the needle literally shattered into three pieces. Like, one went flying, one plopped, and one stuck in. And Doug's like, I think you need to stop, because your emotion is really, the sewing machine is not agreeing with you. Like, that is an indicator to stop. And I think that for us, right, our whole point is that we enjoy this and it relaxes us. And if it comes to the point where you're not relaxed and things are not working, that's a time to stop.
Put a pause.
Put a pause
come back
on it
to it.
and
There's
come
another
back.
day.
And I think too, on the other end of it, when you give something, like, you and I are very busy. So when we gift someone something, they're like, wow, you made time to make, because I made a star blanket for two of my friends, Gina and Sue. And they're like, we know how busy you are, and you took the time to make the star blanket for us. And to me, that, you can't buy a gift that has that much meaning. Right? So I really like that when I'm making something for someone, that I'm making and picking those colors for them.
You kind of get a vibe. I think when we go to the fabric store, you're like, ooh, this feels like my friend would like this, right? Like, you kind of get a sense of, oh, they would really enjoy this. So I like that part. I like that part of picking the fabrics and designing that part. I think that's a really big piece, and I enjoy it.
Yeah, so do I. So I think one of the things we put in, because we seem to tie in school and work and, like, why we chose to do this, why we make things, right? That's why we decided this episode would be so important, or the name of this. I think one of the things was, when you were in school, how did this help you survive school, or did it?
Well, it's interesting. Like, I know I shared already my story when I was younger, that I just, like, couldn't make anything anymore. My mind was blank, and I think it was really important for me to keep my creative side going while I was going through my intervention. And I think that my creativity has changed. I used to paint a lot. I used to kind of, like, draw out my frustrations and get the things that were bothering me and put that kind of in my pictures or my sketchbooks. And then as a teenager, I kind of went to, like, I did pottery for a bit. I did, I think painting always has come back. But then I was really into makeup, and then I did hair school. So I actually showed my creativity when I was doing hair. And I love, friends are like, hey, I want my hair to be this color, this color, this color. I was like, nice, let's do that. Because that's, like, creative. It's difficult, it's challenging. So that was where I love color theory, and that was really what brought that out for me.
And I wish I would have embraced my creativity in high school, because I know I would have been more grounded. Like, when I was in high school, I was very emotional, and I think that having something, I didn't think I was creative. I didn't see it like you saw it. Like you saw it in many different ways, right? With hair, with makeup, with fashion, with those. And it never occurred to me that those things are also creativity.
For
right?
sure.
It never occurred to me.
Yeah, but you had your fashion. You love shoes, right? And you'd be like, well, this outfit goes with that. So I think there was areas, and even I think maybe in your cooking, right? Like you definitely go out your comfort zone in some of those dishes that you make, and you try to do things that's creativity.
I think
that's
my
creative.
love language for sure, and that's been a big problem. Is food is my love language, and I know that has cost people with their waistline that I'm constantly making and stuff. Like I have stuff in the fridge right now that Deontae's like, oh, I didn't know I like peanut butter squares. Well, there you go. Now you do.
Everybody loves peanut butter squares.
Yeah. Except people allergic to
that's true.
To peanut. I know, because on the weekend, Doug's sons are coming over and he's allergic to peanuts. So I'm like, okay, we need to finish it by that, which again doesn't help.
Yeah.
So I think one of the things too is why do handmade items matter today?
That's right.
Right in this right AI and busy world, and we buy things and we get rid of things and we don't hold on or possess things. Why do you think handmade items matter today?
Well, I think I do find it tougher. I know this, like you were saying, it's a fast world. Everybody needs something right now of convenience.
Yeah.
And I think for having something handmade it's a gift. It's a treasure. It's something that you are more mindful about. When you're putting that on, you're like, oh, this person, right? You kind of think of that person too when you're putting it on. And I know I've made many moccasins for Kukum, and just kind of going off track here, but very interesting I made her 2 pairs of moccasins, one with her Thunderbird, and then I made another one that was just a flower. She wanted red moccasins, so I made her those designs, and she brought her Thunderbird moccasins to school. In Thompson, the school burned down. But before that happened, before that, she was like, I'm going to take these moccasins home. And she just, in her mind, but she left the painting, but she was like, that's just something that's just whatever. So she took the moccasins, and then, I know that's crazy, a school burning down, but who would have thought, right? And she was like, I am so glad that I brought the moccasins. I don't know what I would have done without them. And she's like, but then all my other stuff burnt. She's like, but that's okay, I could just replace that.
Yeah.
But
something
this
handmade is not replaceable.
That's
Even if you make a second pair, it's not going to be like that first one.
That's right.
That is interesting because it is one thing that you make that is never going to be the same. And I think about when I look at these things, right? When I make these pouches, so everything that I make is something that I say irritates me, but I make it because I'm so
you need it to help you. It serves you.
These pouches they are not the same, right? The clasp look the same, the pattern looks the same, but a stitch may be off, or a measurement may be off. Like it's never exactly the same from one item to the next. Yeah. So I find like I have stuff in my purse that I lose. So I made this coin pouch because you can just stick stuff in it and then clip it, and then you don't lose it in the mass of your purse, right? Whereas at work we have those key fobs, we have to add the key to our door. So I'm like, well, I always just want something on my wrist so that I don't have to carry it around all the time.
That's right.
You know, these bookmarks, right? Those things on the bookmarks, because I journal and I can never find my pen. So you put a pen in that pouch, right? So I make these because I didn't even put one on my oven yet. Yeah. But every time you go to wipe your hands, the thing falls off.
Or you open the oven door and
then they fall off. Right? So everything I make is something that drives me nuts in real life and is the solution to stop that. And then I pick things like that's just like you said, when I could go to the fabric store. Doug says he can go to Princess Auto all day. Yeah. I can go to a fabric store all day and just look around and oh my gosh, that's beautiful. Oh, I love that. What can I make from that? Like I like just being able to have the day. Yeah. Right? Like the bags that I made. I didn't realize that had 2 sides on it that you don't have to have a lining for. And then reusable bags, and they tuck in a pouch, and then you throw it in your purse, and you always go to the grocery store to pick up a few things. You're like, should I have to buy a bag? Well, now you don't. Things I make are things that you take me.
Right. And Doug's sore arms, right? You made the little boo-boo bags, right? And I think also too, like your fabric that you choose, you love cotton. Yeah. You love cotton fabrics. Yeah. Like that's where I think that you
And everyone else, I have this weird thing with my palms. Like if I touch stuff with my palms, everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, it's so fuzzy and it feels so good." I seem to have many problems. But if I touch it with my palm or the bottom of my feet, I gag.
Yeah.
Like, it makes
It's
me
a textural, like,
I cannot feel it. And I remember saying to my dad, I'm like, this is so annoying. Everyone's like, oh, this blanket's so fuzzy and cozy and I love it. And I touch it and I gag. And my dad's like, me too. I'm like, oh, gee, thanks. That's where I get it from. Thankfully, you don't because you're constantly touching things that are fuzzy. But it's interesting. And that's why I gravitate towards cotton. And I think that I'm grateful now that fabric is now very beautiful.
Yes, different types of fabric designs. Like, it's so...
And that artists can put their patterns and their art onto fabric. That makes me super excited about it too. I think maybe we should talk about, we did our first market together.
Yeah. I've done markets before.
You have with Traditional Treasures.
Yeah, like I was in like, I think it was like 2022 is when I did a market in Winnipeg. I usually try to pick a couple markets a year, but I was trying to do a market in the spring and to do a market in close to Christmas. So I did two, and it was a lot of work, like to try to build, like to get the stands and to like boxes, like to just prep for what your stand is gonna look like. I think I didn't realize that took a lot of designing and what your branding should look like. And so I was like, I didn't realize all that went into that, right? Well, like it was a lot.
And we decided to do Vision Quest. So we just
Vision Quest yes.
And we picked that because you presented with me.
I think we presented before and we were in the Vision Quest. I can't remember what year we did that.
Yeah. I've done it a couple years. Once I did with you, once I did by myself.
Yeah.
And I thought it would be interesting. What does the trade show look like?
For sure.
So then we ended up just doing it I think it says handmade with love by Cheryl. You didn't even put labels on yours. Yeah. Just because we wanted to sit and see. What was that like?
And I think it was like, I know I've always branded like Traditional Treasures and I've kind of always like helped other artists sell their stuff. So I always kind of did that together. But I think this time was more about just, I'm an artist. I think that was where my identity was like, who am I? Like, there's so many things of what I do. And yes, I teach children how to read. I work with all of our tutors at our center, but I also make moccasins. I also, make earrings. I do all of that other stuff. Yeah. We work with a nonprofit. Like, there's so many little things that I say that I am. But I think it was really nice to just go and say, hey, these are handmade. I make them all from moose hide, rabbit fur, beaver. Like, I really try to talk about the materials that I make.
And it's interesting that people kept saying, where's your card? Where's your website? And we're like, we don't have one. But for our personal, right, you had your Traditional Treasures, but we didn't go to do that, right? No, we were just me and you sitting down and what do we make this time? Yeah. And it was interesting how many people had said, well, do you have a card? Do you have a website? Do you, right? Yeah. So I know that Traditional Treasures is something you might want to take off again. Yeah. But I think it was interesting how many people did come by and talk about that.
For sure.
It's the first one that I ever did with stuff. Because I make stuff for people and people always say, oh, it's so nice, I like it. Like, your work is so neat. And people say that when they have it as a gift. Yeah. Right? When people actually buy it. Yeah. I don't think this market was... there was a lot of people, but not a lot of people buying. I understand that they had a different month this time. Yeah. All the vendors were saying how quiet it was comparatively to other years. Yeah. For me, it was, can I make enough stuff that it looks nice? Yeah. So when we sat back and looked, I was proud of what it is that we made. And everyone that came up was like, oh my gosh, it's so nice. And oh my gosh, your moccasins are so beautiful. I've never seen that color. Oh, I've never seen, like, what is this, a boo-boo bag? Oh, that's a good idea. Or everything looks so great. To me, that was just, I don't know if it was validation I needed. I don't think I needed it. But I was just curious. That's kind of what leads my life, is curiosity takes me places that are not always the same. Yeah. Would we ever go back and do a Vision Quest again like this? I don't think so. Like, my answer would be no. I would present there again. We did get invited to another handmade market, which was interesting. Yeah. I think so. I have
been in markets. I did one at the why am I blanking? Via, yeah. And it was the location. I think location matters for markets. There was so many people that came off the street and were like, "Hey, we didn't even know this market was around," and so there's so much traffic flow just coming through, and people I think are drawn to the items on, wow, I love this item. This has my name on it, and they walk by and they're like, I gotta have this, right? The price on I think on how I price my moccasins is yes, the how much time it makes, the materials that I spend, and my price is my price. And I think throughout the years I've kind of been like, well, I want to make sure everybody, maybe someone who doesn't have enough money could afford these types of moccasins. So I've done kind of different styles of like less beadwork so that like I can put it and fit it more in their price range. But again, I think just our economy sucks right now. Like, it's really tough. People are worried about getting food on the table and making sure they have gas in their car to get to work and their children. And I think these items, they're not going to go bad, right? These items are going to find a home one day. I think right now it was just really tough, with everything going on. So that was my kind of thought.
One of the things we also said when we were sitting there was, I'm grateful that this isn't our business, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but all the other vendors who were sitting there, they depend on that for their income. We were just doing this for fun. Like, we were just doing it for curiosity and
and meeting people. Like, I think we met a lot of people.
We met a lot of people. We made a lot of connections. Yeah, from from our center and from what we do and how we collaborate with nonprofits. That was super helpful for us. I mean, it was worth it.
Yeah.
I just had empathy for people who this is what they love and this is what they do.
Yeah.
There is no way, like, what I charged was very similar to other booths.
Yeah.
You do not make money from that.
Yeah.
By the time you put your time in there, the
exactly.
materials, going there, you spend the day there, you do not make back the money you've invested. You really legitimately are doing it for the love of it. And I hope that people who aren't crafters and do go to markets realize is that they are severely undercharging for what it is that they are doing. So I don't haggle when I go to craft stores. Like I said, this first time I've done it. When I go, typically I don't haggle for it because I know they're giving a way lower price than they should.
That's right.
For the amount of work that goes into it.
Exactly.
It was a good learning experience for me.
Yeah, exactly. I think every opportunity there, it's about the people. I think it's about the networking and meeting people because you never know who you're going to run into.
Yeah.
We ended up meeting
We're Wild
Canoe.
Ended up meeting.
So that was awesome.
Yeah, we had a Indigenous Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah.
There's a survival where we're looking at doing a camp. So we met some survival. He teaches survival. He's going to come out to our land and teach us how to navigate that. We have someone who's from Hope. He does healing traditionally. So a lot of really good connections, I think.
Exactly.
I guess the whole point is always connecting with your community. Like, how do you do that? That was the whole, right, one of the things that we do is connecting with our community. And doing something like this was out of my comfort zone. Something that you like to display your creativity. Selling more would have been great.
Yeah.
But I think that at the end of the day, we spent 2 days together that we just, we did a little bit of work here and there, but I think that we really just sat and talked to people. And I think that was the goal, and I think we accomplished that.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much for joining KC Cafe Podcast. We're going to be back next week to talk about more with you. Please like and subscribe. Bye.
Bye.